everyone. Welcome back to 996. The Howl 10 games in the book already in this new season for the 2022-2023 season. And much better than last season's start. Last season, they did win in their first 10 games. They were 0-9-1. It was way more miserable last year. But this year, even though they got some wins and some metrics are looking up, it's really not looking too great if you actually watch the games and dig into the analytics of how the Coyotes are playing. But let's just get into it. They're not last place, which if your team tanked, that might be concerning. But I think they're only about a point or two ahead of last place, who is the St. Louis Blues. I don't know how they're last place. They might pull another 2019 out of their behind. But they're 3-6-1. 3 wins coming from the Leafs, Panthers, and Columbus Blue Jackets, who are also behind the Coyotes along with the Anaheim Ducks. So they're 29th, a point or two up from last place. So you want the Coyotes to be around last place at the very least. You don't want them to get carried away with the amount of points they're getting. But, a 3-6-1, it's better than being 0-9-1. You feel good for, we had a good 5-day stretch of feeling good, maybe a week. Since the last game of that road trip against Columbus to last night against Dallas, between those games, you felt good being a Coyotes fan. You were excited to watch the games. You were entertained by the hockey. And so that's really all you can ask for in an intentional tank here. Let's get into the stats. Goals for, the 24th in the league at 2.8 goals per game. It's up from where they ended off last season at 2.57. Their goals against has gotten worse somehow. In these 10 games, they've had 4 blowout games. And my opinion on a blowout game is 4 goals plus. So that was the Pittsburgh game, the Montreal game, Ottawa game, and last night's game in Dallas. All results 4 goals and over. So they're at 4.3, still not even last in goals against per game. It's 30th out of 32. Last season, they ended up with 3.82 goals against per game. I expect that to go down. The 2.8 goals for per game, I think, is average. It's not going to get over 3 with this team. But, I like having a high 2 number. It should finish the season better than last season. That's my expectation. Their power play has been unbelievable. 3rd place in the league at 31.4%. Anything over 30 is unsustainable no matter what team you are. The reason why the power play is looking good is I like that second power play unit with Michelli, Gunther, Krause, and whoever the defense is at the time. It really is Michelli and Gunther making those plays. Before last night, all of Michelli's points were power play points. He really makes that second power play unit pretty lethal. And in that first power play unit, you have Keller, Hayden, and, whoever they put in front of the net. Maybe it's Fisher or Ritchie. But, the power play is looking good. I'm starting to get excited when the Coyotes go on the power play. In previous seasons, it was always abysmal, their power play. They would always struggle to even gain the offensive zone. But this year, seems like they're gaining the zone pretty well. Most of the time winning the face-offs thanks to Barrett Hayden. And so it's great to see that the special teams are working wonders this year. I didn't expect the power play to be so good, but I wanted the penalty kill to be improved. And that's just what happened, up from 75% last year. It's at 82.1, good for top 10 in the league. So that's great to see as well. This young team, they got to know how to kill penalties. They had a good stretch there where they killed off 20 of 22 penalties. And it really helps, the team stay in a game and not get bogged down by a power play goal again. So they could go out there after the penalty is killed, maybe get some momentum and not feel sucky if you're on the penalty kill and the other team scores, increases their lead or breaks a tie. So it's good for morale that you're pretty good at killing penalties. Save percentage is going down. It's at .884, still 25th in the league, down from 894. Like I said, there's been 4 blowouts out of the 10 games. And even one of the other losses against Boston, it was a 6-3 final for a loss. So when they lose, they're losing. They're letting in a lot of goals. The goalies are kind of bipolar a bit. They're either standing on their head or they're letting in a lot of goals and looking like their best Carter Hutton impression. Ingram had a really good couple games against Columbus. They won 6-3. And against the Rangers, they lost 3-2. That was a really good game to lose. Competitive. Crowd was in it the whole time. You didn't feel bad losing that game. And then Vejmelka, he got a huge win against the Leafs, huge win against the Panthers, looked good against Winnipeg in a 3-2 overtime loss. So the goalies have their good games. We'll look at their stats here. Vejmelka's record 2-3-1 is pretty good, and Ingram's 1-3, but save percentages below 900. Ingram's way below 900. At least one of these goalies should be above 900. And then their goals against average, Vejmelka at 3.97 and Ingram at 4.42, which is really bad. You don't want to see those numbers over 3.5. Even over 3 for a good hockey team, you don't want to see those numbers. So goaltending, depending on the night, could be really good, could be struggling, but at the same time, I'm comfortable with both goalies no matter who they go with, Ingram or Vejmelka. One of them could stand on their head, steal a game, and make it a competitive game or even a competitive loss. Or, if your team tank, you're not worried they're going to go on a winning streak here and be their best Darcy Kemper impression. Looking at shot percentage, last year they were above NHL average at 9.7. This year it's even increasing even more to 12.1%, which is 4th in the league. This is the problem with the Coyotes, I feel, and then we'll talk about shots on goal. They're last place with 23 shots per game. The Coyotes, they don't shoot a lot. It's pretty much every game they shoot under 25 shots per game. But somehow, thanks to their power play, they're scoring on a low number of shots. We saw this last year too, where the shot percentage was creeping up to above 10. So it just means they're not shooting a lot, but they're scoring on their shots. So not sure what to make of that. I would like the team to shoot more. I mean, almost every game in these 10 games, Cows get massively outshot. In certain periods, it's like double the shots, and the other team just takes over. Especially 5-on-5. The Coyotes are like the worst team 5-on-5, and in terms of possession, shots on goal, creating high danger scoring chances. Just 5-on-5 is really bad, and so their special teams are kind of propping up their good record, and keeping them above last place. But those special team numbers are probably going to go down as the season goes on. But you hope those 5-on-5 numbers creep up and balance out that drop in the power play or drop in the penalty kill. So they got a lot of work to do. That's why I'm not worried. If you're a fan who's worried that they're getting a lot of points and wins so early in the season, they really only deserve to win one game out of 10 games, and that was a Columbus game. Had no business winning the Leafs game. They just played a good trap game, clogged the net in front of Vejmelka so that the Leafs were either missing the net or having their shots blocked. Florida had over 40 shots and over 80 shot attempts, but Vejmelka just shut the door. So I'm not worried. Really only one win, and that was against Columbus, who's a weak team. One of the few weak teams you can say as a Coyotes fan. So I'm not worried. Sure, compared to last year, like going 0-9-1 compared to 3-6-1, you might say they're ruining the tank, but the underlying numbers, they're not going to be playing. They're not going to finish the season, at half of their regulation losses. Let's say they might. Let's say they have 50 losses, 25 wins. That's pretty much what happened last year, but it's good enough to be near the bottom of the league, and that's all you can hope for. You can't really plan to draft first overall. You can plan to draft the top 3, but we all know the lottery odds and how the lottery works. Even last year, we were so bad, but somehow, some way, another team was even worse, and we even dropped in the draft rankings from 2nd to 3rd. So you can't predict the future. There's no way you can say if we do this, we draft first overall. At the end of the day, it's up to a lottery. It's just good to increase your odds and finish bottom two, bottom three, so you can guarantee a top two, and top three pick overall. Finally, face-offs. I wanted face-offs to be better this year. That was one of my expectations, but so far it's dropped, but not too much. It's still only 10 games, so face-off numbers could change wildly from game to game. Down from 47 to 46%. The centermen who are taking the face-offs, it's only 4 of them. They haven't changed their center rotation, which I haven't seen in a while. Usually coaches try different guys, but this year they're sticking with their 4 guys in Boyd, Hayden, Bukestad, and McBain. They're all over 45%. I believe Hayden and McBain around 49, and then Bukestad and Boyd are below 47. So that's why it's averaging out to about 46. But hopefully that gets better. I know Andre Tourney keeps saying Barrett Hayden is an important player, and he's having a good season. But you don't see his name here. He's got 0 points on the season, but his faceoff numbers look pretty good. He's around goals. There was a goal against on Tuesday night on the Florida game where he was standing in front of the net. I think it was Krause's goal. So, even though he's not getting on the score sheet, he's doing some good things. But, as a fan, you just go to the points scoreboard and see, oh, Hayden's got 0 points in 10 games. He's awful. But, if the coaching staff is praising him, he's doing the small things right, penalty killing, face-offs, going to the front of the net, being physical with his body. Those are good things. If you see him getting benched and, getting scratched, then you start to worry. But if the coaches still trust him, put him out there, his ice time isn't wavering, then you trust your coaches and say, hey, he's doing good things. It's not just translating to the score sheet for him. So let's get on to the players who are doing pretty well. We got Keller leading the way with 10 points in 10 games. And then Gostisbehere, who had 8 points in his first 6 games. And then they got home to Arizona, and he's literally been a ghost. Maybe it's a Halloween thing with him. But he's pointless in his last 4 games, the whole homestand. He's got no points. And he's even looking pretty weak defensively. Even in the Winnipeg game, he turned it over at the blue line, and Winnipeg went the other way and scored. He's still got 8 points in 10 games, but like I said, he's on a cold streak. We need him to be that offensive defenseman and generate offense because we're missing Chychrun, we're missing Timmins, so it's basically him holding the load for offense. You also got Moser, who's doing all right. He's got 5 points in 10 games. He's cooled off offensively as well. So hopefully when they go back on the road for 14 games, Gostisbehere gets that road energy and that offensive energy mojo back in his game. Then you have Michelli, which is a huge surprise. He's tied for second in rookie scoring. He's got no goals but 7 assists. And like I mentioned before, his first 5 points on the season were all power play. And then last night he's got 2 5-on-5 assists. He's making plays out there, which is rare on this Coyotes team. It seems like only Keller, Michelli, Gunther are really making plays out there and skillful plays. I'm sure I'm missing someone, but that's what's coming to mind. Like Keller, Gunther, and Michelli are just making plays. They're holding on to the puck. They like to possess the puck in the offensive zone, find the open guy. Like last night, Michelli found Valimaki wide open, fooled everyone in the building, and fooled all of the Dallas Stars. So that's good to see that there's a skillful prospect on the team who's making an impact almost every night. Last season, Michelli started off like this, but quickly he ghosted and evaporated and couldn't hang with the team. But it's good that we have a rookie on the team that's not Gunther, that, Gunther might get sent down. I'll talk about that later. But Michelli, he's staying with the team full time. He's not a highly touted prospect that we need him to light the world on fire. It's just pretty much a bonus. He's a leftover draft pick from John Shaika, and he's producing on the Arizona Coyotes. Hopefully he only gets better. Hopefully he starts to shoot a bit more. I know he has a great shot. I used to watch his Finland highlights, And so I don't see him shooting much on the Coyotes. He's making really good passing plays and skillful plays. Hopefully he learns a lot from Clayton Keller. But it's a good surprise. The leading goal scorer in rookies right now is Matty Berniers on Seattle. He's got 9 points. So if Machelli starts shooting a bit more, maybe the Coyotes score a bit more 5-on-5. You could see Machelli in the running for a Calder Trophy. That would be great. That would be a surprise out of nowhere. No one around the league pretty much knows who Machelli is, so that would be a great surprise. And then Dylan Guenther, 9 games. He's got 6 points, 2 goals, 4 assists. I'm sure today, once this video is up and you're watching it, it's already announced whether he's going to juniors or staying with the team. My gut says he should be sent down to juniors, but I can't argue against that he's been producing. He's made a huge impact on the team. He looks like one of the few skilled guys on the team. Like I said, it's just Keller, Machelli, and Guenther who are making highly skilled plays and making something happen with the puck. And then you got the supplementary guys like Krause, Ritchie, Fisher, McBain, who just pretty much have to tuck it in the net or just get a shot on net and maybe it goes in. But the plays are starting with those 3 guys. So I'm impressed by Guenther. I didn't expect him to be have such an impact on the team so early and so much of an impact, but it happened, and I don't think it's too much of an impact where if he gets sent down to juniors, the fans will be upset or anything. He's there. He kind of ghosts in some games. Like in this Dallas game last night, I didn't hear his name at all for the first and second period. I know the first period the Coyotes had so many penalties they had to kill, but I saw Keller more and Hayden and Machelli more, but didn't hear Guenther's name at all. So he kind of tends to disappear at parts of the game, but then there'll just be one moment where he has a glorious chance or makes an amazing play to another teammate. So there's some things he has to work on, but he doesn't look out of place. And so it's a tough decision for management. I don't know which way they're going to go. My gut says send him back down to juniors. But on the other hand, then you have to call up a couple guys from Tucson. They have Zach Cassian, who's injured and not making the road trip. So that already, they're going to take someone from Tucson, most likely Yan Yannick. And then I don't know if you send Guenther down to juniors, who you're going to take from the Roadrunners. Again, maybe Nathan Smith. But the Roadrunners are on a 5-game winning streak. They're like really good this year. You don't want to really take so many players out just like last year where we took everyone from the American Hockey League and the Roadrunners just had a disastrous season. They need to build up their confidence too, just like the Coyotes. So I'm a bit worried that we might again start taking too many players from Tucson. Schmaltz has been injured since the second game of the season, so that's why they need to call up another guy to send down Guenther. In a perfect world, Schmaltz would take Gunther's place, but he's injured, so it's a tough decision for management. You got to think about so many things. If you send Guenther back, that's a roster spot. That's going to affect the Roadrunners and affect the Coyotes, maybe affect someone's development. So it's a tough decision, and I trust whatever decision they make, but ultimately my gut says he gets sent back down. And then Christian Fischer, 3 goals, 3 assists, 6 points in 10 games. Looking like his rookie self, where he had about 15 goals. He's already almost eclipsing his point total from last year and his year before that in the shortened 2021 season. He had a great game in the home opener in Tempe, Arizona, scoring 2 goals. He's got to shoot a bit more, but he looks energized. He's throwing the body a lot. I feel like him and O'Brien have sort of a chemistry and competitiveness where if one guy throws the body, you'll see one of the other guys in O'Brien or Fisher throw a body next. Even last night, I remember a moment where the Coyotes were down 4-0 or 5-0, and O'Brien made a huge hit in the corner, and the crowd erupted, and then you see Fisher throwing a hit again, and the crowd erupted. So if they're not scoring the Coyotes, the fans know this is a heavy, intimidating, and physical team and a hard-working team. So even if you just throw the body, be physical, play a man's game, and just make big hits, a crowd, that's all they ask for. Just make it entertaining. Throw a big hit. If you're getting blown out, be more physical. Get into scrums. get the crowd into it. So that's one of the positives with Christian Fisher. I like that he's producing and having an impact and not being scratched and not being an anchor on the team. He's on the penalty kill as well. Last year, he was getting a little bit more penalty killing time compared to Rick Tockett's era. So it's good that he's continuing that penalty kill ice time. But great to see Fisher get rewarded. He's wearing the A on his chest. You know, he talks to the media really well. He loves Arizona. He wants to stay in Arizona as long as he can. But if he starts producing like this, then he'll get more of a lengthened contract. But right now he's on that 1 year, $1 million deal. So he knows his NHL career might be on the line. But if he continues playing like this, it's an easy extension for Bill Armstrong and pretty much a no-brainer. So I think that's it. For disappointments, like I said, I'm disappointed Schmaltz is injured. Disappointed Hayden at 0 points. I'm not liking Mayo's game as much. He's been scratched 3 games out of the 10 games. I feel like he's making a lot of defensive mistakes that are more noticeable than last year. I felt last year he was playing excellent. But this year, maybe it's because Nemeth, Brown, and Valimaki are on the roster, and they're all big defensemen and physical with long reaches, whereas Mayo, he's in between that offensive defenseman and defensive defenseman. He's not big. He's not physical. He doesn't really clear out the front of the crease as well as those other guys. Sorry, and he doesn't have the reach like Josh Brown does. Josh Brown is an excellent reach. I love his stick work. But yeah, just Mayo's not doing it for me. He signed that one-way deal with Arizona, so that's looking like a bad contract. But hopefully it works itself out and it gets better. I don't think he's going to get better. I think, you know, making that contract for Mayo might have been a bit too preemptive. But it's a cheap deal. It's just a one-way deal, so he can't go to Tucson without going through waivers first. So that's it. 10 games in the books. It was good at times. It was rough at times. One of the trends that I thought was gone was starting hockey games on time. It was gone from the Columbus game up to the Dallas game. But in that Dallas game, they let in 4 goals in the first period. Just got overrun by Dallas. A flurry of goals. And that was happening earlier in the season with Pittsburgh, Boston, Montreal, and Ottawa. So it's a trend that crept up again. I know they got a big road trip ahead, but they got to start playing better 5-on-5 and have way better first periods. They have like one of the worst goal differentials in the first period across the league. So they got a lot of things to work on, but I'm happy to see their special teams are clicking. I'm excited when they go on the power play. I'm confident when they go on the penalty kill. The goalies could be hit or miss, but I'm confident in both the goalies as well. I know they have it in them to have a stellar game and keep the team in it and weather some storms. And so I rather have that than a goalie like Jonas Johansson or John Gillies or Chris Gibson, where you'd be so afraid to watch the game when you see them starting in net. And it gives Vejmelka some rest. I felt like Vejmelka last season played way too many games. And so nowadays, I'm liking that Andre Tourigny is rotating the goalies, giving Vejmelka some rest, some load management, and Ingram's not afraid to play a large number of games either. So I like that, chemistry between the goalies. They look like they're friends. And so we'll see how the next 10 games go. All the next 10 games are going to be on the road. So it's going to be unprecedented to see a 14-game road trip. But we'll see how they do it. So that's it for me. Thank you for watching. If you like what you see, spread the word. And as always, thank you for your support.